Hello there, Parth Sharma this side, bringing you chess classics in which I am covering top 15 games played by Vishwanathan Anand, aka Vishy. If you are new to this channel, then don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. If you are already subscribed, then do press the bell icon. And if you like my work, then do consider supporting me on Patreon and PayPal. You will find the links in the description because your support is my motivation, which keeps me going. Also, with those links, you will also find the PGN of the game that I would be covering in this video. So, happy days, isn't it? The game that I would be looking at, number 8 spot, is Vishwanathan Anand's game against Fabiano Caruana from Sinquefield Cup in 2017, round 5 game, where Anand shows another brilliancy in this game, totally blew Fabiano Caruana off, and yeah, without wasting any time, let's jump onto the game. The game was superb and splendid. So I'd say Anand plays 1c4, another unusual Anand opening. Normally he likes to play e4, and after his, I would say, World Championship match against Kramnik, he shifted to 1d4. But anyway, that's for some other time. Let's jump onto the game. Caruana is black, Anand is white. Anand opens with 1c4, Caruana responds with e5, knight c3, knight f6, knight f3, knight c6, the 4 knights variation of English, g3, the fianchetto variation of king's knight variation of English, and basic attempt is to fianchetto this bishop to get a solid structure for white so that the king is safe, and if he gets some, I would say, holes in the position, in black's position, then he can utilize it in the later stages. Meanwhile, black is trying to create its center by playing pawn to d5 because white has delayed its center and he's only focused of fianchettoing this bishop and the subsequent castling after that. So it's a great opportunity for black to exploit these squares, take care of these squares, even knight taking care of this, the other knight taking care of this square, and black has superb center right at move 4. But that's not enough because black also needs to develop its pieces, is to get this bishop in order to get castle, or even getting these bishops rolling, maybe trying to defend and then attack, and so on. So Anand captures on d5, taking the advantage of this, and knight takes d5, offering the trade of knights. But Anand is focused on development, so he plays bishop to g2, and Caruana does the same by playing bishop to c5, and now both sides castle and pawn to d3. So its basic idea is to excuse me, its basic idea is to take care of these two squares and also to initiate d4, or beg your pardon, e4. But e4 might not be possible now because if you play e4, then this backward pawn can become a bit of a weakness, and that can hamper white's development and also create some vulnerable squares for white. So e4 not at the moment. Perhaps if knight takes and pawn takes, only then white can think of playing pawn to e4. But anyway, Caruana tucks his bishop back to b6, and you can see somewhat reversed Sicilian kind of structure, reversed dragon structure. As you can see, looks pretty much like that, because if the pawn had been on a3, that would have been a reversed knight off, but since there is pawn to g3 and bishop played to g2, it looks like somewhat reversed dragon, and looks very good for white. Not good, but equal, on equal terms. So bishop to d2 by Anand, so he continues his queenside development. Bishop to g4, rook to c1, giving this rook a semi-open file with opponent's pawn on it. I always keep repeating it, and because rooks belong to the open files and also in semi-open files with the opponent's pawn on it. So bear that in mind. And Caruana takes the knight on c3, bishop takes c3, so this bishop is now operating on this diagonal, and there is a pressure on e5 pawn. So Caruana plays rook to e8 because f6 then can be disastrous. because it can give this light square bishop, if it comes to life, a good access to this square, and also this queen can come here and hassle this king. Anand plays b4, so he's now trying to tucking this knight off so that this bishop can at least have a square to attack on, or I should say a piece to attack on. Queen d6 by Fabi. Nothing fussy has happened up to now. Everything is good. Knight to d2, so there we go. He's preparing to play b5 and bishop takes b7 if this knight moves, or if this knight leaves this square, or even bishop taking that knight if that knight goes to a5. But Caruana continues his plan by playing queen to h6. So he's now basically trying to, let's say, play this and to exchange. But Anand has something up in his mind. He plays a knight to c4. And he would like to get rid of this bishop, because this bishop is somewhat restricting, and this bishop is already eyeing down on the pawn on e2, where black is preparing to play queen to h5 so that there is battery right at the pawn on e2. And Anand wants to just get rid of this bishop in order to play f3 so that there is no pin and there is no pressure on pawn on e2 once queen h5 happens. Queen h5 does happen, the pressure is here, and Anand's best defense in here should have been to play rook to e1. Let me show you by playing rook to e1. And Anand said that he was worried about rook to e6, but in fact he can in this position play bishop to d2. But Anand saw that if he plays b5, rook comes to h6, and even rook h6 was would not be a better option, but rather than to just take here, and if king takes, then queen takes h2 might be a better option. But he saw rook h6 and h4 g5. This is what he analyzed, and after bc6 g takes h4 and bishop takes e5, white is totally winning this position, because not only he's a piece up but also has successfully defended his king by bringing this bishop back, and it can cover this h2 square as well if the pawn takes on g3. But instead of going into that, after rook e1, black can play knight to d4 as well, and the position would still be holdable. But after queen h5, Anand was not happy with this move that he made, rook to c2, and he thought that he was somewhat hurried playing in this move by playing rook to c2, and he wasn't satisfied with this move, because after knight to d4 there is a lot of pressure here, but he can still take on d4, and after, let's say, bishop takes, this bishop will sit very well on d4 square, and Anand would certainly not like that. But Fabi plays here rook a to d8, and Anand takes that bishop in order to play pawn to f3, which was to stop this battery to that e2 square, because now this bishop is eliminated, there is no pin, so f3 is played. And Anand said that playing f3 was embarrassing because it somewhat restricted this bishop's movement, and if he had, let's say, exchanged here and then played f3 would have made sense. That playing f3 directly was somewhat slowing him, and obviously pawn is attacking the bishop, so bishop goes back to e6 and queen to d2. So in order to give more protection here, but it's already defended by the bishop, it's already attacked, is only attacked once. And also looking at some other decent squares, probably try to open the line of this rook, or trying to play e4, or let's say trying to play f4, even that would have been great. Here Caruana said that Anand told that he should have played knight to d4, and let's say after rook c, not this rook, after knight d4, this rook c to c1, not rook f to c1, the rook would have been hanging, and if this rook comes down, then the position would still be better. Or even white would, after knight here, can take take the knight and would simplify the position into a draw. Fabi said that he was a little bit worried about pawn to f4 and he didn't know how to deal with that, so he played pawn to b5. Anand plays the pawn to f4 anyway, and here bishop d5 was the better move. And after the game, Fabi said that he did consider it, or even he considered this pawn capture as well, and rook takes, and still thought that his position wouldn't be better, and he somewhat underestimated this move bishop to d5 and he didn't consider it. Instead he plays bishop to g4 in this case, and which gives Anand an opportunity to eliminate this knight, which can come on d4. Bishop takes, b takes, and now f takes e5. Now this pawn is a very dangerous pawn. It's a protected pawn as well. It's attacked twice by the major pieces, but the minor piece is the one which is defending the pawn on e5. So this pawn is somewhat immune, and it looks like this is a very dangerous position, and you cannot take here because it is defended twice. The queen will simply take it, and white is, or I should say black is actually running out of options. Well, Anand thought that he might play rook to d7 here, and that would have been better. After, let's say, e4, bishop to h3, rook to f2, bishop coming back to e6, and then d4. White has a good center, has the advantage, but there is no concrete breakthrough in this position for black. For instance, if you play queen to g6, the pawn is already attacked. So rook f4, and then black can come to queen h5 again, and this bishop is somewhat locked, and it isn't finding any decent squares, and if it comes here, then chances are that black can actually take on a2, which is a backward weakness of white in this case. So position after rook d7 might have been a double-edged, but still would have given black a decent amount of chances. And Caruana here played pawn to f6, which turned out to be a mistake, because now the next series of moves are somewhat forced. You have to take the pawn on f6, and if you take here, then rook f2 is devastating, because now you will prepare this and this, and even bishop takes is also somewhere on the cards after that. So after e takes f6, Caruana plays rook takes e2, and this move is also very important in this case. f7 check, you check the king first, king to f8. Now the queen is attacked, it has to get active. You don't have time to play here because this will be mate, so you have to be active in here. And here he plays bishop takes g7 check, king takes g7, and queen c3 check. Now the best move in this position was to play queen to e5, and Caruana said after the game that he saw this line: rook takes e2, queen takes c3, rook e8, and he has to check it first to get some perpetual out of it. After rook f2, queen takes b4, f8 queen, obviously. And by the way, I should say after queen d4, if you move it here, then black can actually survive this game by playing bishop to h3 and so on. So rook f2, queen takes b4, f8 queen, queen takes f8. This is all forced. And both players saw this: rook takes d3, rook g8 check, king f7, and Caruana saw that said that he saw rook d8, but he still wasn't sure that the bishop is attacked, the rook is attacked. One has to give itself up, especially this rook has to give itself up for this rook, and that would be a pleasant endgame. Anand said that he saw bishop to d7 and rook to h8. White would still have a tough job to do to convert this into a win. White is definitely better. The only player would be winning in this case, or I should say have winning chances here, should be white, but it would be very difficult to convert it into win. So after king f7, the only decent move that Anand saw was rook e8 to f8, king to e7, and white has nothing better than to come rook to a8, h5, rook takes a7, and king e6. White is still winning, but it again would be a very difficult job indeed to convert it into a win. So queen c3 check was played, queen e5 wasn't played, would have been a better option in that case, and Caruana plays rook to e5 in this position. Well, he thought that Anand would play pawn to h3, and he said that he spent all his time to calculating this, and the best move for black would be to play bishop takes h3, but he calculated bishop to d1, but after rook to e1, he didn't see rook to e1 by the way. After bishop to d1, rook to e1 is another option, and after king takes f7, then rook takes e5 check, or not check, but rook takes e5, eliminating that rook, and this is a completely winning position. Caruana didn't see it, and it was he thought that he spent this, he was probably worse, but still there is something here. Especially after rook to e1, you cannot take the pawn, but rather to play rook takes d3, some another distraction move, but that still would have been a desperate situation. But after h3, bishop takes h3 would have been better, but Caruana saw bishop to d1, and he thought that he's still losing that. But after queen c3 check, Caruana plays rook to e5. And he thought that he has seen the worst. Again, after h3 and these things and so on, he expected h3. But take a pause and think what Anand played in this position, which was missed by Caruana, a decisive blow. Well, if you found it out, that's brilliant. And if you just want to enjoy one of Anand's greatest moves, queen to d4, sacrificing a queen, and I would say it's not a sacrifice, but because he just wants to play this queen from here to here. And how can you play that? If rook takes, then f8 equals queen, and he didn't see that. Queen to g5 was played, and now you have to just exploit this pin by playing rook to c5, and rook takes d4 was played, so we will see that. But what happens if you play queen e3 check? Well, then after queen takes e3, rook takes e3, rook g5 check is a crushing blow. You don't want to go here because you can promote it, and then rook takes f8 will be mate. Otherwise, king h6 is losing the bishop straight away, and there is no defense for pawn to promote. The rook will go to g8. Even that is a disastrous blow. After rook c5, bishop f3 would have been a better option, but still would be losing. So Caruana just takes the queen, and now in incredible circumstances, Anand finds its queen from here to here. f8 queen check, king g6, and after queen f7, Caruana resigned the game. This is forced checkmate, by the way. King h6 is the only move, and rook f6 is threatened. Once that goes off, queen takes, and that will be mate very shortly. So another beautiful game this was by Viswanathan. Anand stands at number 8 spot, and Anand had some very tough times before this tournament, but he always finds something to get himself going, and he's no wonder one of the greatest. And on his 50th birthday, Kasparov said that you are braver than me because you are still playing, and we wish him to play even more and continue playing till his 60th, 70th, 80th birthday, and he continues to play forever. We all want that. And what a gem of a player he is, and still capable of beating younger generations. Yes, they are stronger, they would get the upper hand probably 9 times out of them 10, but from that one time you will just get over them and blow them in this typical Anand fashion. Well, I hope you liked this video. I hope you liked my analysis. I will be bringing number 7 tomorrow. Till then, stay safe. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.